got OpenClaw here, Clawbot, whatever you want to call it. And if you watch this short little training, you're going to save yourself up to $10,000 because there's some things that people are spewing on the internet, like, "Hey, let's go buy a Mac Mini." Let's go buy a Mac Mini. I don't even know what Clawbot does, but I'm having such FOMO. Let's go buy a Mac Mini. So lock in just for a few minutes, and I'll show you exactly what to do instead of buying a Mac Mini, or even worse, a Mac Pro. Because I was looking into it, dude. I was looking into it. I was about to buy two of these hosts. It's $9,000. Tax is 10,000. It's gonna be like 22,000 for two Mac Pros. This is the thing that's going viral. Everybody wants to really run their own code on their Mac Pros. We'll just lock in for a few minutes. I'll show you some alternatives here that should save you a lot of money. No, you don't need a Mac Pro. No, you don't need a Mac Mini. No, you don't need a new computer. No, I've got options for you, dude. I'm right here. Look, do you see this? This is a different, this isn't my desktop, actually. This is part of what I'm going to tell you here. Okay, if you got a Mac right now, this is what you should do. Instead of buying a Mac Mini.
With myself. Yeah. The deal was already made. The deal was made when I set out at the beginning of the summer and said, this is training plan I'm doing. I signed that contract with myself.
I'm doing it.
You know, throughout that process, you'll start talking to yourself like, man, I think I need to, maybe if we.
Nope.
It's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable, baby. Non-negotiable. So you can see I'm not running this on my main computer because everybody's scared of running on their main computer. So here's a quick and easy alternative, but I've got like 2 or 3 alternatives, as I know we don't all have MacBooks. Okay, but if you have a MacBook or a Mac, whatever, Apple, anything, what you can do here is go up into the top left here and say log out of your current user. Go ahead and create a brand new user profile. It's almost like having a new computer. Instead of buying that Mac Mini or worse, Mac Pro, boom, just start a new Apple user, log in, and set up Clawbot on there. I just saved you $600 to $10,000. Wow, that was so easy, dude. But if you're just following what everybody says and you don't actually do things yourself, you're not a data dog. I know you are a data dog, but a lot of people are just like buying these Mac Pros and Studios just because somebody else is doing it. There's no reason to do what everybody else does. Jim Simon says it all the time. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get cooked. You can't do what everybody else is doing. So boom, there's 600 if you have a Mac. Simply start a new profile on Mac. Boom, clean, clear, under control. Wait, Moondev, how are you on your other Mac right now? On here. Well, here's a little bit more alpha for you. Okay, there's something called Chrome Remote Desktop, and this might be useful for you just in general. Chrome Remote Desktop. For me, I have a couple computers and I don't want to travel with those computers. So this is a Google product. Chrome Remote Desktop allows you to virtually connect to any of your computers that have Chrome on it. So boom, I'm able to have my laptop in the living room or whatever, or Mac Mini, whatever you got in the other room. I have a new profile on it, so it's not touching my stuffs. And I essentially am now here logged in remotely. But the cool use case that got me to start using Chrome Remote Desktop is I have a couple computers for security, right? And I don't want, when I travel, I don't want to be bringing 2, 3 computers. Do you? No, of course not. So Chrome Remote Desktop plus a new profile. That's how I'm using OpenClaw right now. But I get it. We don't all have Macs. We don't all have new profiles. We still got that itch to buy that Mac Mini. If you're a PC guy, I understand it. You're finally capitulating to the Mac side. It's the better side. But still, please save your money. Save your money. I recommend before buying any hardware, make sure you can print money with OpenClaw. If you can print money with OpenClaw and you see that you can save money by running a local model, okay, then 10 G's for a studio. But no, not yet, dude. I haven't been able to print money with OpenClaw, so I haven't bought it yet. I literally had 2 of these in my cart because I had the same FOMO you did. Everybody's out here buying Mac Minis. Some people are buying Mac Pros so you can run local models, right? But what about us PC guys? Not me, but you. Okay, so here you go. This is what you're going to do if you're a PC guy and you don't want to buy a Mac Mini. Okay, go to this website called Contabo. And they have virtual private servers and they have Windows VPSs. So a lot of virtual private servers, the thing that is poor with them is that they're all in terminal. So that's not going to work for people that are not developers. But if you go to a website like this, I don't know if other websites have this. I have had a hard time finding Windows VPSs. So this is a pretty janky website, but it works. Anyways, instead of spending that 600, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, whatever you're going to do, you just have to get a VPS. But it's essential that you get a Windows server, because then you can actually log into the VPS and see it as a computer, opposed to like us developers that can work in terminals. Like that's not going to work for the majority of people. So if you don't want to get a Mac Mini, okay, and you have a Mac, use a second profile. If you don't have a Mac, go to Contabo, or maybe you can find somewhere else. The key here is to get a VPS with a Windows server, so you can actually log in and it pretty much emulates another computer. Okay. But you're thinking, Moon, the whole point, I was about to drop 10 racks on a Mac Studio so I could run the model locally. We'll get there. We'll get there. Now, if you're a Mac user, you have the profile hack. If you're a PC user, just go get a VPS. But key to this is that it's a Windows server. You can actually log in, so you don't have to be a developer. You know what I'm saying? You can log in. You can see an actual Windows screen. It's like having a Windows computer somewhere else in a data storage. Somebody else is hosting it, but you get full access to that Windows. So it's like going and buying a PC from Costco for $1,200, but instead you can spend as low as $11. Now, you probably want to look at the RAM, though. I would say I would probably get something with 12 gigabyte RAM minimum. I have used 8 gigabyte RAMs from Contabo with the Windows server, and it's good. It just gets a little janky if you're trying to run too much. So for this, I would probably go with the 12 or the 24, but that's an alternative. And if you can find other Windows servers, let's see, Windows server VPS. I'm sure there's other websites that have this. Maybe AWS has it, but you can see Contabo comes up. So that's just what I've used. I'm not sponsored by them, and the website's super janky. It's built in 1942, it looks like, but it works. So there you go. You have two options. Instead of buying a Mac Mini, you don't need that. Now, if you're thinking, Moondev, the reason I was going to get a Mac Studio and drop 10 racks is because, dude, I can run Kimi 2.5 or GLM straight on the computer, and it can just print me money. Do you have a system that prints money yet? That's the first question. But secondly, if you really want to run the model, I've already done this, dude. I've run models. I've run those models before. I've run GLM and Kimi on from this computer right here that you're listening to me on. I could have it connected to this computer, which is a different profile. I could have those models connected to Windows VPS. How though? Okay, there's this website called Lambda Labs, and this allows you to buy or rent different servers that are big enough to allow you to run any of these models. So again, the key here, before you go out and spend 10K, is make sure you find something that prints money. So you can have AI printing for you and justify that 10K. Until then, you can go here and spend a couple bucks an hour on hosting those models. Now, how do you host those models? And what server do you need? That's super simple. What type of Lambda Labs package will I need to host something like Kimi 2.5? And then you'll just have her walk you through the whole setup of calling the AI. So you have a new way. Instead of spending 10K right now to host your own models, you can just go and either use a different profile or use a VPS with a Windows server so you can log in and understand what's going on, and then go to something like Lambda Labs where you can actually host the models for a couple dollars an hour. And if you look up Lambda Labs, let's go ahead, Lambda Labs, there are other options as well. A little cheaper than Lambda Labs, but damn, I'm already saving you so much money. Like, I use Lambda Labs because it's so easy to use. It's a little more expensive than other hosting platforms, but I'm sure you can figure out the alternatives. Well, let's go ahead and see. What are the cheaper alternatives to Lambda Labs? So you can see you can launch Quen on there. You can launch Llama 3. You can launch anything. It's just the bigger models are going to need bigger instances, which are going to cost a little bit more. But they break it down to the hour, which is so nice. So now you know exactly how to run these huge models without spending 10 racks. Like this is just a FOMO driven decision everybody's making. And I almost did it too. So I'm not less like FOMO than anybody else. I literally had 2 of these in my cart. Then I was like, hold on, that's 22 racks. So why wouldn't I just spend some money on Lambda Labs to host my own models and then use my other profile on an old computer? And if I didn't have an old computer, just use Clawdbot to run this. That's just because I'm a data dog, though. And I've been here. I've been running different machine learning models on Lambda Labs. We did all that grammatical evolution for trading. That's how I learned Lambda Labs. And this is Go. Now you can see here, there are other options here like Vast AI. And there was another one too, Prime Intellect. And I've used Prime Intellect, and these are other places you can host models on. Now, this Prime Intellect and Vast AI, I think they use a distributed model. So the problem with that for me was it was less stable and it wasn't 100% uptime.
Right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. It's like it's water. It wants to move and go around stuff, you know.
So that's the only downside with the cheaper options like Vast AI and Prime Intellect is it's just not as stable as Lambda Labs. So if you do have the budget to spend a couple dollars an hour, it's really easy to turn it on and off. I think this is the premier service, 100% stable, easy to set up. If you want to save some bucks though, Vast AI, this is for hosting the model. But here's the last tip I'm going to give you, dude. When you're setting up Claude, Clawdbot, whatever the heck you call this thing now. When you're setting it up, when you're going through the instructions, it allows you to connect to your Claude code. Now, is Anthropic happy about that? I don't know. I don't really care if I'm able to do it and it's $200 a month instead of spending $200, $300 a day. I'm gonna do that. So my trippy kit right now, as an algorithmic trader, I got OpenClaw on a different profile on a spare Mac. Okay, I'm blessed. I got a spare Mac. If I didn't have a spare Mac, I'm using a Mac right now. I would use a different profile on this Mac. Keeps it a little safer. If I didn't have a Mac, I would use a VPS. Spend 20, 30 bucks a month for a couple months, see if I can print with it. If I can print with it, I'm still probably going to use a VPS. And then I'm going to head over to Lambda Labs and set up my own AI here if I need that. Like if Claude Code cuts us off, which they probably will. Anthropic will probably cut us off because I've been using this all day and I'm not paying API credits. So how do you do that? In the onboarding, you just pick your Claude subscription. Now, you're obviously going to need the hefty one. It's $200 a month, or maybe the 100 you'll get off with that. But I haven't hit limits since I switched to the 200 a month Claude Code plan. I'm able to connect it to OpenClaw. I'm not going to fall into the hype like everybody else has. I almost did, though. I almost bought 2 of these. Now, if I find that OpenClaw can absolutely print for me and it only makes sense, like, for example, okay, if it makes a couple dollars an hour or something and it only makes sense to run it on my own machine, okay, I'll think about buying a Mac Studio. But even at this rate, this isn't the most cost effective way to do it. The most cost effective way is to go ahead and go to like PC part picker and work with AI in order to build your own computer. It'll literally be half the price. That being said, I'm one of those Apple guys. So, I'll pay double. It is what it is. I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger on buying the two of them because that's 22,000 that can be paid. Even if Anthropic cuts this off, you can pay for the API with 22 G's. Are you kidding me? That's going to get you a lot. And then another thing I see a lot of people missing out on is like, dude, you don't need Opus for everything. If you're using Opus for absolutely everything on OpenClaw, you need to work on your systems, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of I think the alpha here in OpenClaw is she's able to use the computer. Haiku is sick, dude. Haiku is sick. She can use the computer. Now, if you need somebody to write you a book, okay, switch to Opus. So if I'm looking at saving money, I'm going to go ahead when I get cut off from Anthropic because somebody here is going to snitch, of course. Once I get cut off, I'll just go ahead and I'll use Haiku. I'll try to print with Haiku because if I can print with Haiku, then I know Haiku is more comparable to cheaper models, smaller models, open source models. And then I can put it on a Lambda Labs and just call the AI from there. And I'm paying $2 an hour instead of 22,000. At some point, yes, of course, in the future, if it prints that hard, you can start thinking about your local models and whatnot. But other than that, I just wanted to make this quick update because I see a lot of people getting rinsed right now. Absolutely rinsed. And I don't want that to be you.